Sarah, what was your impression the first time that you saw his tattoo?
That was awful. No. Well, actually, his friend was here today.
I can't believe the timing.
He's going to sketch up a cover-up for that tattoo.
Seriously?
He was just here. That's why I was late with this talk.
How does a care worker end up becoming a permaculture consultant? How did you end up meeting Kevin, and how did you come across the Midgård Band?
Well, how I come across Kevin the first time, I actually saw a talk with him on YouTube.
It was the same talk you were at.
Yeah. So, yeah, I got in touch to come buy honey for my father. He was selling honey.
Yeah, my way.
And that's how we met. First time was 2016. And then in the new year to 2017, we started to become more friends and more regular talking. And I was visiting more then and getting into the project.
So when he started to talk about his vision, about his ideas, what was the trigger for you?
Well, the first time I met him, he took me around the whole site here to explain all his work and his future visions. And I couldn't agree more with all of that. So I immediately wanted to be part of that and to contribute to make it happen.
So what about you, Kevin, when you first met or when you started to discuss with Sarah? What were your first impressions?
Okay, then, if you want a completely bold, honest answer here, I'm going to have to take you right back to the beginning of day one of this project and how it started for me. Because I was 13-year-old and I'd had quite a traumatic upbringing, and suddenly around 13-year-old, I got this repetitive dream that 8 times in 7 nights, basically, playing up where I could walk around this community that was not like anything I'd ever seen before. And the gardens around that were not all squares and rows. And the forests around that were all in perfect harmony to the landscape I was able to walk around. But towards the last couple of times of this dream repeating itself, I saw earthships, but with green roofs and things like that, even though I didn't know they existed at the time, which is why I'd been looking for them all my life to see if anything like that existed, and how I reacted to it when I first did see them in '98, like 11 years later. But this is where it gets a bit metaphysical on the woo-woo side for some people, because I stand for every word I say. Total honesty here. I dreamt of many people in that community who I could move between. And over my life, I have met at least half of those people in real terms, but in slightly different emotional states to they were in the dream. But when I talk to them about my dreaming and my work on trying to, if not find this community, create it, it opened up all kinds of discussions throughout the years. And there's about 250 people contributed to this over 34 years in a significant way. But I would say about 50 of those people I've met, I recognize them, I swear, from the original dreaming. And it has led to results by engaging with them when we've crossed paths. So now to come to the point, when I first met Sarah for the first time, when she came to buy that honey in the Earthship, I recognized her immediately. And it blew my mind because it was the most significant person at the end of the last version of the dream, who ended the whole series of dreams for me when I was 13, living in the forest. So I was left with the image of her face in my mind for 34 years. And even when I went into the British Army and I started rebelling after they invaded Kuwait, they kept locking me up in prison. I was going through a suicidal period. And because I was getting beaten up every night by the Marine guards who were guarding me for being a traitor, basically. So it was really heavy stuff. And I had one happy place to retreat to in all those hard years. And it was this original dream. It was so vivid still. I carried it all my life. But as the years went on, when the army eventually kicked me out, I started discovering components of the dream existed in the world, just in different places. There were certain buildings, certain systems, certain hints of conversations going on around the planet that people were working on trying to pull together this kind of vision. And as I matured into the whole 30-year thing, before I met Sarah, I saw the world was getting serious, that it was going to be necessary. That's when the permaculture introduction kind of hit it right on the head with what I was seeing in the original Dreaming about the types of gardens. It is very, very clear to me that it could have been that. And so every bit of the way I've had confirmation that I've been on the right path to keep going designing this system. And Sarah was the ultimate confirmation. You're not going to believe the final detail, which really freaks me out still today.
Try me.
Do you know what her date of birth is? It's the morning after the last version of the dream stopped in 87. She was born within hours of the dream ending. Go figure.
Wow.
I have no answers, but I follow truthfully things that I witness in life to be true. But I will forever have questions.
That's actually fascinating. And how do you relate to that, Sarah?
Well, actually, I recognized him also immediately when we met. And I was thinking, oh, wow, here he is. And he is not in such a good shape, you know. I came just in time, I felt like. So, yeah, I had been done so much work on myself and developing myself and in relationships and everything. So I knew I had so much preparation to do at a certain point in my life. And when I met Kevin, I knew it was now was the time.
So you came to the land. I mean, you met him and you came a couple of times. What were your intentions as your visits became more repetitive?
My intentions were to help this project actually, and Kevin, and also to help him with clarity, maybe in certain parts. You know what? It was very, very complimentary to go with on this journey with Kevin, because it was like I had done so much self-development work on myself, how I function and how to be in balance and all of that. So when I met Kevin, I got answered the rest of the questions on how to take it further, the responsibility in life, not just over myself and my behavior. It's how do I exist right in this world? Where are the tools, to do that? How do I create that for myself? And Kevin was already a long way into that work.
You met Kevin, you've been coming to the land, and although there is something grandiose in the project, what were the flaws that you spotted?
Yeah, well, the first practical thing was actually toilets that were needed here to even have people here, so we could have a good work group. Mm-hmm. So that was one practical thing with the infrastructure that was not in place. So I immediately, went on to solve that problem. Mm-hmm. But then it was, it was mostly how to relate to one another, and what is true, what is not true, what is real intentions, and how it all works. And it took us on a journey.
You talked about the real intentions, about what the real intentions were. Did you get an answer to that?
Well, you have to answer that question every day. What is your intentions? I mean, it's one thing what people say, and it's one thing what is actually a real intention from within you, where your actions come from, what you are working for every day. And this needs to be maintained, reminded, if it's not strong in you already, A
more practical question. How did you go through the APSO course? What was your feeling? How long did it take you? Did you enjoy it?
I loved to do the APSO course. That was like such an enthusiastic way of taking in all this new information, because you get like solution to every question, every problem you have, there is a solution to that in the education. So it was like mind-blowing to go through the education. And we did the education together. So we had so much exchange, so much discussion between each other, so much developing the project. And it was awesome. It was awesome. And I love our teacher. He is such a great teacher. So I love that process. It was so exciting. So much energy.
What about living together and working together?
Great. I love working with Kevin.
It's been very productive.
Yeah, we have like the same kind of energy in our working methods, and I love it.
High frequency and high tempo when we get into it.
Yeah.
It's really enjoyable to get results in a constant flow.
Sometimes we can talk away like a half a day. But it's so exciting.
Hours can disappear.
Because I have no problem in interrupting or highlighting what he has just said and translate it so people understand, or don't forget, like, notice this, what he just said. So when we are doing meetings together, we have a very good result,
Oh, we get
when
like 100% effect on
so together it seems, he's all like knowledge, information, everything, and I can like help people understand it, what he means, or what's important of what he's saying is,
What changed? What changed since Sarah came?
It's forced me to up my game with this, because I'm also getting older as well, 48 now in January. So I figured that if we are going to do this, we're going to have to really structure it up. I'm going to have to listen to every bit of input from outside of myself and take it seriously from the very first person, who just happened to be Sarah. And it just happened to click so well. So every bit of input is extremely valuable in steering up the whole project in a very professional and mature way now. We've got rid of all the utopian idealism and really looked at the hard facts of what's needed and where to go from there with good strategies. That we've tested a lot of good strategies and been very successful. So a lot has changed. It's become more real and obtainable, I would say.
And there's something very attractive with that project. It's so grand and so impossible in the idea. You use the word utopian, definitely. How do you face doubt every day?
Well, I can say, of course, it's not impossible. It's very much possible. And for me, it's the right and logical way to live. And you are working within the laws of nature, within the universal laws, to work with them in the right way from the beginning. Of course, it's a more long time work you do, because you're working for the rest of your life, and step by step, you put everything in order. And then eventually, when you have the foundation with everything you need to survive on your land base, at least all the infrastructure and everything, to have it comfortable here, then you can go to, okay, what is my burning interest? What do I want to do? What do I live for? And then you can convert that into a regenerative foundation for that passion, project, initiative, corporation. What is it what you want to work with? So this is like the only way to work within the real laws of the nature. So we just miss that and trying to fast track everything because we want to be so comfortable so quickly. But in the long end, we will lose everything because of that lifestyle. So better to work within the actual real rules of the nature, So it's that I see that's the only way that is possible,